So you guys can see my screen, right?
Yes, Nishant.
Yes, Nishan.
Okay. So we know like what is the question. So I'm not explaining the question. So we will basically see the example first and then we will go with the solution itself. So this is on the left side. If you can see the example. So initially we have an array of 2, 3, 5. If we will ask like what is the unique number, the 2 will be the first unique number. So that is perfectly okay. Now suppose if we add one more number to it, which is basically 2, 3, 5, 5 here. So what will be the unique number? Still the 2 will remain the unique number. Then take another example where we add 2 also. Then what will be the unique number? Now the unique number changes to 3 because 2 is already there twice. Now if I add 3 again, then the unique number will change to -1. So this is the problem statement and we will basically try to solve on the basis of this only. Okay, so let me explain the solution and then basically we can discuss more if required. Okay, so what we did is, let me take an example here also, 2, 3, 5. Okay, this is my initial array. So it will call my first unique method. So which is this one, right? This one. So basically in this, what I will do is I need to call the add API. And in the add API, I will basically put the elements in both the set and the hash map itself. Okay. So initially, all the 3 elements does not exist. So let's see how the add method will work. Okay, so comments are there basically. So suppose initially we get a value 2. Okay, so it will go in the if condition. It will check whether it contains a key. No. Then basically it will update the is unique, basically the set as well as the queue. Basically we are saying queue. So it will add 2 into both the element and then it will exit this method. Now it will come for 3 again. So similarly, it will append 3. Similarly, it will append 5. Okay, so this is all okay till now. Now let's move to the next API calling. Just a second. Okay, so the next API call is show first unique number. So what should be the first unique number from this information which we have right now? 2 should be the unique number. So let's try to find out how we are finding the unique number. So here we took a set as a queue. Okay, and then a map as a unique number. So suppose this is my unique number and this is basically set, right? Set queue. So I need to find the first unique number. So I will just basically traverse this queue and find the first element and basically return. So you can name it a queue, you can name it anything. So it's just a variable naming. But what we did is basically we took only 2 data structure. One is set, which will have the unique elements. Second one is map, which will mark like whether the number is duplicated or not. Okay. So the first time this will call, we will return 2. So till now, I think everything is okay. So we will do the dry run for 2, 3. Now the add method will call for 5. So if we call for 5, let me zoom in. Okay, so if I call for 5, it will check whether it's the unique element. No, because when you check is unique, it will check in the set whether it exists. Yes, it exists. So it does not go in the if condition. It will go in a else if condition. So in the else if condition, what we are doing is we are basically marking this as a false because it is not the first time. Whenever we are adding any element for the first time in hash map, we are marking as a true. But if we are adding the same element again, we are marking it as a false. So we are saying this number is not unique element now. So when we add the next element, we are marking it as a false, and we are removing from the queue itself. So we expose one API called remove, and we can basically directly remove. So for this example, like for 2355, so when you add 5, we will mark in a hash map false. This is not a unique element, and we will remove the 5 from the queue, which is basically a set for us. Till now, everything is okay. Now we will try to append 2 again through the add API. So when we call add 2, what it will do, it will again check whether 2 exists in set. Yes, it exists in set. So we need to go into the else condition. In the else condition, we will mark that as a false, like it's not a unique element now. And then we will remove from the queue itself. So in the queue, earlier it was 2, 3, 5. When we did add 5, it removed this. When we did add 2, it removed this. Now only element exists is 3. So when you call so first unique element, it will return 3 only. So if we see here, if we are seeing when we called so first unique element, it is returning 3. This is perfectly okay. But when we call add 3, what it will do is, again, it will check it contains in set. Yes, it contains in set. So we need to mark it as false, like it's not a unique element in our hash map, and we will remove from the queue itself. And the output will be -1 because there is no unique element, because the queue is empty. So this should be the solution. This should be our approach. If you guys have any doubt, do let me know. It's a simple solution. We use one set, one map, and then we basically maintain like whether it's a unique element or not in a hash map. And based on that, we basically add or remove from the queue itself. If it's a unique element, we add into queue. If it's not a unique element, we remove from the queue. That's all. Any questions? Hello?
No, Nishant.
Yeah, that's fine, Nishant. It's fine.
Okay, so yeah, so let me explain the Swift solution also. I explained the Java solution. For the Swift solution, I took basically a hash map and an array. Okay, you can take instead of array, you can directly take a set, so that can work directly. Okay, and the logic remains same as the Java one. So what we will do is basically when we are calling the add API here, just a second, when we are calling add API, we call 2, then 3, and then 5. So it will go into the if let is equal to count hash value. No, because we will not have 2 initially at the first stage. So it will go into the else condition. It will append the 2 into the array, or you can say set, and then it will mark 2 as a 1. It means it's true that it's a unique element. Okay, or you can take 1 as a basically the true variable. Up to you, how do you want to write the code? Okay, then the next time the 3 encounter, we make the entry in the hash map and we mark it as a 1. Then again for 5. Now suppose 5 is coming again in the add condition. So the if let condition will enable automatically, and we will increase the count to 2. So if the count is not equal to 1, it means it's not a unique element. So we should remove from the queue. Earlier what we are doing is we are removing from the set. But in this solution, you do not need to worry about removing or adding part. What you can do is basically while you are traversing, just check in the hash map whether it has a count is equal to 1 or not. If it is having equal to 1, it means it's a unique element. If it's more than 1, it's not a unique element. So that's the logic. So I can write the logic without using the add or remove API logic part. So that's the difference from the Java solution here in the Swift. So like for example, when we add this 5, here we increase the count. Now we again basically add 3. So again 2, suppose we add 2. So in this, the count increases to 2 for 2. Then we called so first unique. So in the array, there are 3 elements. Their count are 2, 1, 2. So what should be the return value? this one only, the 3 1, right? This should be the return value. So it will return the result. I hope I'm able to explain the solution in an easy way.
Yeah,
And this is the normal time complexity, like the constructor is order of k, add is order of 1, show first unique is order of 1, and the space complexity is order of n.
Nishant, if you use the set, so what difference it will come? Can you once?
Set will have unique elements, and we were basically using add and remove API in Java.
That can be eliminated.
But in case of Swift, yes. So in case of Swift, what we did is basically we utilized the count, which basically we maintained in a hash map instead of using a Boolean value. If the count is basically is equal to 1, it means it's a unique element. If its count is more than 1, it's not a unique element. So we uses that condition here.
Yes,
This one,
correct.
this condition.
But Nishant,
That's the
same can
difference.
be used in Java also.
Yes, it's basically, I just want to explain two approaches. Like this is basically to create a thought process, how to basically go with the problem. You can think like this, okay, adding or removing, because if you remember, we discussed one problem where we need to basically move all the zeros to the end of our array. So one solution was basically remove the 0 first and then append into the last. So that was our solution. So similarly here, what we did is like we maintain a set and we remove the element once we find it's a duplicate. And then automatically set will have all the elements which are unique only, and we will just return the first element. For this, we need to have an ordered set.
Yeah, order set. That's why. That same question I want to ask. It should be order, right?
Right. Okay, that's all. If you guys have any doubt, feel free to ask. No? All good? Okay, thank you. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
And especially thanks, Mayank.
Thanks, man.
Thanks.
Thank you, Nishant. Thank you, Mayank.
Thank,
Bye-bye.
thanks all. Thanks all. Bye.
Thanks, Nishant.
Still having all the characters. Third answer is the same as whatever is output, which is at the end, which is having the minimum 4 length window. The substring, the second string can have a duplicate characters also, like A, B, C. And we have to make sure that we are having the same count in the string 1 also. So if I have to print a string from substring from string 1 having all the characters in string 2, so it will be basically starting from, say, one of the answer is starting from this C and going, it reached 1A, it reached 1C, it has 1B, it has 2 B's, but one answer is still this A, which is, I guess, 12 length basically. So one of the answer is this one, which is not the shortest one. So the shortest one will be basically, you can say, I can start with from this C and I have this A and I have this B and I have this A. This is the shortest answer for this. There are multiple answers, but I have to print the shortest substring out of all those.
Mayank, sorry, but the question is not clear to me. Can you just repeat?
So we have two strings, say S and T or S1 and S2. We have to find a substring of the first string. A substring is basically a contiguous sequence of characters in the string, which is having all the characters as given in string 2, which is, say, like in this case, A, B, C. Right? Or sorry, when I starting with this, it was like I thought this is a string, but the string is ABC. So I have to find a string out of a substring out of this string, which is having all these characters A, B, and C. So if I start with this, one of the string is A, D, O, B, E, C, which is having all the characters, right? It is having C, it is having B, it is having A, but the length of this is 6. There is there are other strings also like this, which are, if I can say, is like BECODVEA, which is another
Okay,
string
got
which
it,
is
got
having
it.
on all the characters. Likewise, there will be other strings also. We have to find the shortest out of all these. That's the intent of this question.
Thanks. Got it now.
Yeah. So if there's nothing found, like say my starting string is A and my second string is AA, it should return basically an empty, because we have to find all the characters which are in string 2 in string 1. And if there are duplicates, we have to make sure we get all the duplicates also. Like the count should be same in the string substring 1. Like, so if I have this A, B, C, so my answer will be having this as my shortest string. There are other answers also, which is like this, but it's a bigger answer. So the first, you can say, task to this problem can be basically finding one of the string which is having all the characters in string 2, and then the task is basically follow up is to find the shortest one. Yeah. So how we should go about this? If like the first task is a simple one, finding all the characters, finding a substring having all the characters in string 2 in string 1.
Finding all the character from substring is which are like we can have means we can create again a map of S, and we will iterate the T string into that map to identify that which all are kind of visited already, so that we will be able to identify.
Right. So we can have a basically count of all the characters in string 2, and then we can traverse this string 1. And as and when you can say we found a character which is having the same count, like so basically we can maintain count map or frequency map for both the strings. So let's say we initialize with string 2 and we put its frequency in S2 map. So A having 2 count, B having 1 count, and C having 1 count. Now we can parse this string, and as and when we receive any character which is present in this map, we can increment its frequency in this S1 map also. So say C is having frequency 1, then now B is having frequency 1. Now D is not present, we will not do anything. E is not present in string 2, we will not do anything. That is not present. B is present, but yeah, we have received its count equal to whatever the count was required. So it's up to us basically whether we want to increment in our count space or not, our map basically S1 map or not. And then it doesn't matter actually whether we want, because we have it already there, like we have already reached the maximum frequency. Now we receive G and we receive A. Now A frequency is also 1, and it hasn't reached frequency of whatever frequency was required here. Okay, now still we have to go on searching, and C is now also twice, and A is now A has reached its frequency. Now we have to stop our search, and this should be answered. But how we should go about this is basically, as and when I get in character, I put it in my map, and if I found this, my frequency is equal to this frequency, which is expected frequency in string 2, I can increment one global variable, or say one variable that you can say with 1 count, and I already have what are the unique characters in this string by getting the size of this map. So the size of this map is A with 2, B with 1, and C with 1. So the size is basically 3. So now, yeah. So now I am, when basically I am, yeah. So now when I'm passing the string 1, I get C. I get its count as 1 right now, and it's matching the count of this one. So I can increment my variable. You can say required or something from 0 to 1. Now I get a B. B is having the same frequency which is required here. So my count will become 2. And my expected count is 3, which is my map size. Okay. So now C is 1, B is 1 in my. Now I got B and I got this B basically, which is bigger than that. So I can, it's up to me whether I want to update its count or not. So let's say we update it to 2. Now G and A is not present. I added 1, but its count is not matching this. So I will not increment this required till now. I get C again, I increment it to 2, and I got A again, and I incremented to 2. Now it's matching the expected count for this particular character. So now I get this 3, and as in when these two things match, I can basically print my string from the start point to this point. So this is one way to basically print string. But if you don't go about this and go one level before that, and you have to just, we are not optimizing on anything, time complexity, space complexity, and we want an answer. So what should be the brute force in order to search a substring into this having all these characters? The brute force, I think, should be basically creating all the substrings in this. And once I created a substring, I will search whether that substring has a required count of characters as in A, B, C. So say I created this substring, and then this is my second string, and then I will call it to compare whether the required count of A, B, and C is equal to that thing or not, right? So do we know like how we can create substrings of this string, like how we can create all the substrings in this string 1? What is the way to create that?
No way.
Basically, we have to.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
I was just saying the same thing which you want to say. So we can have one starting point. So all substrings means basically you can say all starting indexes in this string and all ending indexes. So that means my indexes can start from 0 and my indexes can go to length -1. So my substring will be basically anything which is lying between this. So it will be like 0 to 1, 0 to 2, 0 to 3, and 0 to n-1, and then starting from 1 to 1, and then going till 1 to n-1. And similarly for 2, 3, 4 till the time I receive n-1. So basically all the starting points and all the ending points which are there in this string creates one of my substrings. So every starting point and every ending point will create my substring. So just like C is one substring, B is one, D is one, E is one, Z is one, and CB is one, BD is one. Similarly, likewise. So now so these are substrings which I have to create. In order to create that, we can run a n-square loop on this, and the first loop basically will be having the starting points, and the second loop will be having the same as the starting point in the first and iterating till the end of this array. So string character array, yeah. So it will be basically, I start with C, I start with I is equal to 0, and my second loop is starting with j is equal to I to L length. So if I currently read my I and j, they both are pointing to 0. So that is my one of the string, which is C. And I will compare this with A, B, C, and I will get my result whether true or false. Now I will increment my j, it will become 1. So my string is CB. Now basically I will compare, likewise I will go CBD and all those till the end basically. Now I will increment by I, and my I have to just cover starting from B. So it will be B and then B, D, E, Z. Similarly, I will go till down to the L length basically. So that's how I can get my all the substrings, and anytime I have a substring, I will compare it with string 2 to find whether I found the required substring or not. So that can basically give me an answer for whether I have found a substring or not. I'm not interested with whether it's minimum or not, but it will give me, yeah, whether there is a substring present or not in this string 1. And any doubts related to this finding substrings, and then basically how to find substring, and then if we found substring, how we should compare from one string to another string? So say if I found a substring, basically I can use this map kind of thing. I can similarly in this way I can create this thing, and then while parsing my substring, I can check whether you can say the count of this. Anytime I found a similar character in my map, I will decrement its count to by 1. And if the value is 0, that means I've completely found that character. And after the whole thing, my map should be empty. If my map is empty, basically after parsing the full substring, that means I found everything in string 2, else there are characters which are not found. So then I will return false.
Yeah, Mayank, one doubt. So you are iterating from starting to the length -1. But
Right.
how exactly you are going to find the exact range? Because we have to form multiple string, right?
Right.
And we need to compare.
Right. So when I'm starting from I to length, I have a string. Say like I initialize my string here, whatever this character basically at this index, so S1, and you can say I. So this will give me C, right? And then when I'm here, basically, based on my jth index, I will add that character into my string. So like S plus equal to, you can say S1 J. So I can, here did not do a pre-initialization. I can do an empty initialization here. And from here, I will add the corresponding jth character. So because I'm starting, you can say my J from I only, and I am traversing till the end. So this, every time I add a J, my count will be incremented by 1, but my starting point is whatever my I was. So in the first use case, it will be say I 0. So it will be after this step, one iteration, it will be C, and then I will be adding CB, then I will be having CBD and E, and this way. So once I do this, I can call a compare method, which will compare this S with S2 string to give me whether it is having all the characters in S2 or not. Right? Any doubts still?
Yeah, it is clear now.
Okay. So yeah, we create all the substrings, we compare, and as and when we found, we will just return that. So this is one solution to answer this thing. But the time complexity is bit, you can say, a large. So it is order of n square in order to create the substrings, because I have 2 loops, I and j. And then I created one string and I'm comparing that. So it will run order of n. So for every string, basically every substring I found, I'm calling this thing. So overall complexity is order of n cube to find a solution. So how we can optimize on this part, the time complexity. We need not create all the substrings, because one thing is that if the size of this substring is smaller, then it will never match. So those can be a small here and there optimizations, but still in the worst case it will be order of n cube. So this solution cannot work if the strings are large strings of the order of, say, 10 raised to the power 4, you can say, or 10 raised to the power 5. So I need to have something that basically, one approach can be to handle this is that let me start from the starting point, and as and when I found anything, I will, you can say, store that in my length, right? So in this case, my string to find is A, B, C, and I found it at this particular length. Starting from here, till now my complexity is order of n, because I've just, my starting point is C, which is the start of my string. I haven't changed my starting point, and I'm just adding my characters. So I'm just parsing it once. In one parse, I can find one answer, right, of this thing, whether it's present. So that can be the worst case, is basically the whole string, worst length basically can be the whole string length, right, for this answer. If it is not present in the full string, then the answer cannot be matched. So I can simply run an order of n loop, and then that can give me an answer. Any confusion related to this, what I was just telling?
Other than this approach, do we have any other approach to solve this?
The first, like the minimum window part, minimum length part basically, or the to get an answer only?
To get the answer only.
Yeah. So I talked about, one is all the substrings, one is basically checking all the max, the full string. If it's not, it's present, then the answer is yes, else no. Other than that, like, I don't think like there can be anything in terms of solving the first part. So order of n, yeah, and while traversing only we can find whether that character is present in string 2 or not. So there is no additional complexity of comparing other than order of 1. So order of n can be the answer to just give me a string, a substring which is having this string.
But Mayank, this will be not our solution, right? Because you are telling that we have to find minimum length string.
Yeah, right. So that's why I divided it into two parts. One is to find an answer, one then to optimize it. And
Okay.
now whatever is order of n, that through that I can optimize it a bit to find my required answer.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
So here, as and when I'm parsing this string, till this point I know that I have an answer to return. Now I can try decrementing my window from the start. Now I can see whether this C is required or not, and based on that I will decrement my count. So my C count is 2 here, but I need only 1. So I can decrement my window by 1. So my window becomes now this. Now I will go about this B, whether this is required or not, right? So there are 2 B's in my window, but I need only 1. So I can decrement by 1 more. So now D is not required because D is, so these are just garbage characters which are not in string 2. D is that, yeah, till this time I had not found, you can say, characters, and now I found B, but B count is 1, which is the expected count in here. So I cannot decrement from here. So this is my shorter version of the answer to my original answer, which was this here. So anytime I found an answer in my string 1, I can try finding if I can shorten my window by excluding the elements from the start. So this was my initial answer, but then I shorten my window based on the characters which are not found, which are not required. Yeah. So now my window is this, and now I will go whether I can find a minimum window to this to the right. So I found D, I add that particular thing, I add B. Now also I have an basically, yeah. So basically, if I remove this B from here, I miss my answer, right? So in that case, if I minimize my window further from this point,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So now I basically take this D and I take this B, and now I also have an answer. So then I will check basically whether I can decrement my answer or not. So I can decrement, yes, I can remove this B, I can remove this G, and now my answer becomes this here till this point. It has 2A, it has 1C, it has 1B. And then similarly, I will follow the similar approach. I will go further, I will add A, and I will decrement this A. So at that point, I have also an answer, so I will start decrementing from starting. So A is not required, Y is not required, T is not required. So my answer becomes this: C, Z, A, D, E, A. This is my minimum answer. Then I will go further also Z, and then you can say it's basically past my full string. So whatever is the minimum with this thing, so that will be my answer basically to return. So every time I found a character which is, you can say, creating my full string in string 2, I will start thinking that whether I can decrement my window from the start. So this way we can find the minimum out of the strings which are found.
And one more thing around this problem, basically this is very hard problem. Even on the lead code, if you go and try to solve it, it's come into the hard category. So do not get frustrated or like demotivated because you are unable to solve or you are unable to understand. So it's perfectly okay. You can ask questions.
Let's take a dry run on the solution. Okay. So this I have created 2 frequency maps for both the strings. I will initialize this frequency map for string 2 with whatever frequency is of for all the characters. So I basically run this one loop, and anywhere I found an element which the time I found an element, I will see whether it's present in map and accordingly increment its count. So after this, my FT map is basically having A count as 2 and B count as 1 and C count as 1. So this is order of n. Till now I found the frequency of all the characters which are in the string 2. Now I will parse the string 1 and I will see from the starting only, and I will just try to follow the same approach as and when I found my string which is having all the characters in my string A S2. I will have that as a probable answer, but then I will try to minimize my window. So how I will do that is basically I will get a character, I will run a loop on the string 2. This is also order of n loop on the string 2, the main string, and I found a character into this. I will increment the count of it in a separate frequency map. So I have basically say C as 1. Now I will see if basically if this character is present in my string 2, that means this character I'm interested in, and this can result in basically finding an answer. So I have to check basically if it's present in you can say in the pattern or in the shorter string which I have to find in my string 1. If this is present, and basically you can say my count is basically still less than whatever is the count of characters in the string, you can say, or equal to in that particular map. So my count is 1 and what is expected is 1. So it is less than equal to, yeah. So I can basically have my one of the global variable in order to check whether I found a string or not. So I have to basically found, you can say, whatever is the length of this, right? A, B, C. So I have to find 3 characters, 3 different characters. 3 characters basically So once I found all those three, then only I can have an answer to my problem. So I will increment my one of the variable to say, yes, I found one character. Okay. Now, if I found the character is equal to the size of my all the characters which needs to be found, then only I will basically then I only have an answer, plus I will start decrementing my answer to just get the minimum answer basically. So I did this. I found a character which is similar in the second string, and basically my count is smaller than whatever the count or equal to whatever the count is required. Then I will basically do this increment by 1. Now, anytime I found a size equal to whatever the size is expected, then I will check from the starting basically, can I decrement my string or not? If yes, I will remove all the characters from the start, and then I will have a one window which I cannot shorten further, but this is my one of my answer. So how I will go about this is that I will start from my start, which is 0, and I will check whether this character is required in string 2 or not. So if my start is say K, then this character I don't require because it's not present. So I can decrement my window by 1 length. So I will go about in that case. So there is 2 cases to that. One is basically if the character is not at all present in string 2, then I can simply remove that. And the second case is my count, which I'm incrementing every time I found something. If my count is greater than whatever is required in string 2, so I can exclude those extra characters from my string and then basically shorten my window, right? This approach I have to follow. Start with putting all the frequency, start parsing the first string, increment as in when I found a character, the count of that in my map. If that character is not present in the second string and my count is less than equal to that thing, then only I will increment this variable. If my variable is equal to the size, that means you can say I found all the different characters, then I will try decrementing my window size from the starting. How I will decrement is if that character I am trying to current character basically if that is not present in string 2, then I can simply increment my window by 1 length and decrement its basically count, so that because that's not in my window is basically starting from start and till current I position, and my map shows that state, what is the state of the string, the frequency of my starting to I in my map. Also, if that character is an excessive character which I don't require, then also I can remove it. In those cases, then basically whatever is my I minus start plus 1 is my length. Start is my starting point, I is my ending point, and plus 1 to get my length. If it is whatever is the minimum so far, which is a maximum variable, if it is minimum, then I will have that as a minimum. And now my start point becomes whatever is the start, which is currently to begin with. And next time also, I will try again, basically this thing. So we can go about this thing by doing a dry run. So this is my string and this is my A, B, C. So this I have already done so far. I get it C. I increment my count by 1. Now I get B. So I am now at this stage. Yeah. Okay. So I found a character which is, let me pull this also. C, which so basically I increment in my map with count 1, and since it is basically you can say less than or equal to whatever is required, then I increment my count by 1. Now my count is not equal to size of this map, which is 3. So I will not go here, and I will again go into my parsing. I found B, I increase